Welcome to GMATWiz by Wizako. I'm Wizara.
And I'm Wizton. Today, we're diving into a hot topic that many of our listeners have been asking about. Should you switch from GMAT to EA?
You know, Wizton, we get this question all the time in our tutoring sessions, and it's totally valid, especially now with all the recent changes in the GMAT Focus Edition.
Absolutely. And here's the good news. Yes, you can definitely switch from GMAT to EA preparation. Most of what you've already studied will transfer over nicely.
Let's break down the key differences. The most interesting one is in the verbal section. While the GMAT Focus Edition has dropped sentence correction, the EA still includes it.
That's right. But don't let that scare you. We're only talking about roughly 4 or 5 SC questions out of 14 total verbal questions. It's very manageable.
Speaking of manageable, let's talk numbers. The EA has 40 questions total compared to the GMAT's 64. And the testing time? Just 90 minutes versus 2 hours and 15 minutes for GMAT.
You know what's really interesting? Many test takers actually find the EA more approachable. It's like running a 5K versus a marathon. Both are challenging, but one's definitely more manageable.
And here's something our listeners might appreciate. The EA has some really test taker-friendly policies. You can reschedule for free up to 48 hours before the test.
Unlike the GMAT's $175 rescheduling fee, though the initial registration fee for EA is slightly higher at $350 compared to GMAT's $275.
You know what? This reminds me. For those listeners who are considering the EA, I highly recommend checking out Wizako's Executive Assessment online course. It's been designed by GMAT 780 and Q51 tutors.
Oh yes, and the best part? Listeners can try it free for 15 days at wzko.in/EA. It's perfect for those making the switch.
But before anyone makes that switch, there's one crucial thing to consider. Make sure your target schools accept the EA.
Exactly. While it was originally designed for executive MBA programs, many full-time MBA programs now accept it too. But always double-check with the admissions office.
Let's talk about why someone might want to switch. The shorter duration is a big plus, especially for working professionals.
And don't forget the mental fatigue factor. With the EA being shorter, you're more likely to maintain peak performance throughout the test.
The bottom line is, neither test is a walk in the park, but the EA might be a better strategic choice for some candidates.
Couldn't agree more. Before we wrap up, any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yes, consider your preparation timeline, available study time, and current preparation level. And remember, you can always try our EA course for free to get a feel for it.
That's it for today's episode of GMATWiz by Wizako. Thanks for tuning in.
And remember, you can find us at wzko.in/EA for all your EA preparation needs. Until next time.